Welcome to the Using the Mission Tracker training. My name is Luke Beckman. I serve as part of the Pacific Division Disaster Team as the Division Disaster State Relations Director. And today, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to talk about how you can use the Mission Tracker most effectively when you're on a disaster relief operation, or if your region uses this day to day. Either way, it's still the same process. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you a couple slides that talk us through a couple of the high-level points. Then we're going to go into a mission tracker, into the sandbox that you immediately after this training can go ahead and play in so that you get some experience learning how the mission tracker works. And this sandbox is going to look exactly like the mission tracker you would see on a disaster relief operation. So let's take a look. So what you should see here is the using the mission tracker and creating and updating missions. Why use the mission tracker? Think of the mission tracker as a task and a project tracker or task or project manager. It's a one-stop shop for all tasks and projects that you have in external relations on a disaster relief operation. And you use this anytime, the one-stop shop, you use this anytime a partner asks us for something or offers us something. You can also use it for any time we identify an unmet need in the field. And we want to update missions as we go along. So you don't just, it's not a fire and forget. You don't just create a mission and then never use it again. Each time that we get updates on the mission, that we hear about an updated status or we close it out, we update that mission in the tracker. The mission tracker does not replace staff or resource requests. Resource request would be a 6409 or a greenie. A staff request is, hey, I need to get more people. Those processes exist as is, nothing changes. The mission tracker is sort of, it might be a prequel to that. So we don't know if any staff or resources would be requested or required as part of a mission, but the mission kind of helps us organize everything and make sure that we don't drop that request or that offer from a partner. It ensures constant accountability and responsibility. We're not just firing things in email and hoping that somebody on a 2 or a CC line picks up the ask and then we forget about it or put it on a post-it note on the wall and then the post-it note falls down. What if somebody out processes on a relief operation? The mission tracker allows us to ensure continuity of that mission all the way from idea or start to finish or completion. Missions can be created by anyone, but usually a mission is going to be created by external relations. Missions can be actioned by anyone, but usually operations or logistics will be the ones who, at the end of the day, are doing the work on the mission. And we use it, as I mentioned again, we use it so that we don't drop things. So that's really what the mission tracker is at a high level. What we're going to do is take a look at how to use it. Now, we have a separate training, less than 5 minutes, on how to create the mission tracker template. Each DR, each disaster relief operation or DRO, gets its own mission tracker, and it has to start from a blank template. Now we have a sandbox that we're going to look at today, right now. In that sandbox, we will copy that sandbox, a blank version of it, and essentially paste it into our team for that DR. The training covers, the other training covers who creates that and why and how. And this training is focusing on actually creating the missions themselves and working with the missions. Let's take a look. What we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen, my Microsoft Teams on my computer. And here you go. Here's my Teams application. I'm going to go into Teams here. And our template actually lives in the External Relations Workgroup in the Pacific Division. And I can find the Mission Tracker Sandbox. I click on this drop down here because we have a lot of tabs, and the Mission Tracker Sandbox. So you will see something, it might be blank or it might have 100 or 5,000 missions on a disaster relief operation. But this sandbox looks exactly the way that the Mission Tracker will look for you on a DR. Now, this is a SharePoint list. Think of it as a fancy Microsoft Excel spreadsheet built in SharePoint, which is a Microsoft product. So what we've done is we've embedded that into Microsoft Teams. To create a new mission, what you'll do is you'll click the plus button here, the new button, and you'll fill out the different fields. If you see a red asterisk next to a field, that means it's required. So we're going to pretend that we have a new mission, and I'll be the request owner, meaning I'm the person who, as of right now, the mission was given to me. I need to make sure it doesn't get dropped. It came into my inbox, so that's going to be me. So I'll put my name here, and we'll put my phone number, and we'll do Luke at Red Cross. I'll make that up there. And sometimes you may see only a phone number or only an email, but putting both really allows us to quickly and easily contact the person who owns that mission. Because sometimes people put just a name. We don't have a phone number. We can't find their email. Maybe they don't have a Red Cross email. That makes it really hard to follow up on the mission. So the default status, this is really important. This is a drop down. The default status is always going to default to no action taken, meaning we've done nothing. But there are other statuses here. Reviewing, essentially, once we start taking a look at it, does this make sense? Might we accept it? Is this in scope for the Red Cross? We would flip it to reviewing. A status can also be referred to a partner organization. That means the Red Cross isn't going to work it, but somebody else is. Now, just because we refer it to a partner organization doesn't mean that it can't come back to the Red Cross. It can. We might hand something over to World Central Kitchen and they say, okay, Red Cross back in your shop. So we can always flip it back to the Red Cross. If we review a mission and nothing is needed on it, or it turns out that it was already done or overcome by events, or it was inaccurate, we could put no action required. If we review a mission and we say, nope, we're not going to do it, but it's a valid mission, we would say rejected. Very rarely will you see a rejected status, but we want to have it in there in case you do reject it. Again, it ensures accountability and transparency. Accepted means that we like the mission, we can do it, it's in scope, we're working on it, but it's not done yet. Only when the mission is complete do we mark complete. So I'm just going to put reviewing because this mission just came into me. Now, the request title, mission title. This is basically just a common title that's easy for anybody to understand. And I'm going to say feeding support at the local assistance center. Somebody wants us to help feed. So description of request, we could say county needs Red Cross to feed 100 meals per day at the Washington County LAC starting, today is March 7th, so we'll say it's starting, for kicks, we'll say it's starting the 10th at 0900 hours, right, 9 a.m. I'll just short and sweet there. So you can see it pop up there. Now the start date, we know that we want to start that because of the mission there. I want to start that on the 10th. So we know when the mission is starting. Requester agency, the county asked us, that's the government. Who asked us, we'll say that's John Smith, and we've got John's number. John at county.gov, okay. What activities does this involve? Well, we know it involves feeding. But the county asked, so maybe it involves elected official liaison and community partnerships and public affairs. So we can check all of those different things, and you see they kind of disappear from the list as I check them, and you see the list of everything I selected there. When is this due? Well, starting on the 7th, it's due on the 10th, depending on how you like doing this. There's another way you can do this, and there isn't necessarily a wrong answer. It said 9 o'clock a.m. So I can put that in there. I've got the date and the time stamp, but I might need to start working on this today. So you might see somebody enter the mission as, well, the start date is today because I got to start on it, and it's due the 10th, meaning I need to be ready to go by the 10th. So that would be acceptable as well. But you'll also see generally in the description of the mission, you'll see some details around the date and the timestamp. Request site city, it's in Washington City. In the state, we'll say it's California. The county, this is a free text field. We'll say it's in Washington County, make that up. If we have districts on our DR, we could select a district. I don't have a district right now. Client contact information. Well, I don't have a specific client on this. Why would this exist here? A lot of times we get missions from partners asking us, the Red Cross, to support a specific client. Often that's with health services or mental health or spiritual care. And you could go ahead and put the client information here so that we can refer it over to health services. If the government has, if they're tracking a mission in their version of a mission tracker, often WebEOC, you could put the mission number from the government in here as well so that we can quickly reference. Date completed. When we're done with the mission, we can go ahead and put in the date here, but I'm not done with it now. I can put in a specific location. I can add attachments if I want to. I'm going to hit save. That's it. The mission shows right here. That is mission number 22. And I've got a whole bunch of columns here to see what's going on. This right here is the simplest way to create a new mission. Now I'm going to show you how to edit missions. Pretty simply, what I can do is I can click on, you see the blue here, I can click on any one of these to get into a mission. If you see these little 3 lines, that tells me that's something new. But let's say I want to go in and Sue Engler here put in something urgent feeding need in Wildwood County. What I can do is I can go ahead and see the mission, and I can get in here and say, let's say I've done something, urgent request. I can put at the top, Luke Beckman, LB, took action, clicked out of it, click this again. You see the view changed just a little bit, took action, and let's see on this one, provided no transportation, access to banking, took action to secure transportation. It's always a good idea when you make an edit on that description. You put the date and the timestamp. Today is March 7th, and I'll say 2300 hours. So that anybody who goes in here, you sort of get a running log, which is helpful. Now, when you edit the mission, sometimes you'll see it show in 3 columns. That's the way that the list shows in Microsoft Teams. That is I want to click that. That is just the way it defaults. Now I can go back to the list here. And again, I can really edit any mission this way. I can just click edit. And here I am. Again, I've got the rows of the mission. Sometimes it'll go into that 3-column mode. And I'll hit cancel. Now, let's say I need to tell somebody else about the mission. What I can do is I can actually copy the link right here to the mission. I can copy that, I put that in an email, and so now somebody can get the mission, they can open it up. Or you could reference, hey, it's mission number 21. So you don't want to touch that mission ID that auto-populates, but this way we have unique reference IDs to missions. Now I can also filter if I need to really work with this. I click on the little caret, the V here. I can change the width of the column so I can see what, I can see the whole thing. And I can sort A to Z, Z to A, just like you can in Excel, but I could filter here and I say, only show me the government missions. And there it is, there's my filter. I can click this, I have a whole bunch of filters, but you have a filter applied when you have this little funnel. I can click the funnel, uncheck that, and I want to clear all, hit apply. Everything shows back up. This is very similar to an interface with Microsoft Excel. I can also edit the missions in grid view. This one I like a little bit less. Some people like it, but it can be helpful. If it's helpful to you, then that's great. Go ahead and use that. I can exit the grid view. So what I can also do is if I'm working in the mission tracker a lot, and I'm sort of a power user of it, I can create my own views. The way I would do that is you see here all missions. You can get different views of missions, and any user can create a view. And what I would do is if I have filtered certain things, I can create a view. So if I wanted to filter by just government, here it is. I could save the view as, I could say government only. Now this is really important when you're creating a view It's best to create a view just for yourself rather than a public view. Otherwise, you could get 50 different views. So I'm going to uncheck this. I don't want this to be public. This is just for me because I'm going to go in here and use this over and over and over again. So I created this government only view. Nobody else is going to see this, but I will now see this view. So that saves me time when working with the mission tracker. Now there are formatting things that you can do with a view to make it pop a little bit more. And this is sort of a power user thing, and this applies to any SharePoint list that you're using. But what I can do is I can do conditional formatting if I want. I can, in a specific view, I can make it look like cards as opposed to a list. But if I go a list, I can edit the row style. There's a whole bunch of things you can do here. In most cases, you're not going to need to touch this or do it. And if this is something you really want to do, I suggest you take a look at a SharePoint list training it doesn't pertain to the mission tracker, but really shows you all of the guts and the technicalities of SharePoint lists. The one last thing I want to share with you is you can export everything to an Excel file or CSV. And what you do is you click export to CSV, and that'll download the Excel file to your computer. Last, with these three dots, you can go to the source URL of the actual SharePoint list. So this is going to pull up the list in SharePoint. If you're used to using SharePoint, this is what it will look like for you. There's a whole bunch of things you can do. 99% of people aren't going to have to touch or need to touch anything. I still have, you see, it's really the same here. I can change my widths. I can filter again. This plus sign that you're seeing here, I recommend you don't do this. And the reason is this is going to create a whole new column in the list for everybody. We've been very deliberate about not creating additional columns. We've really whittled this down. And so if that's something that you feel is necessary, go ahead and talk to your supervisor. Bring that to the division external relations leads. We'll talk about that and see if that is part of an after action, if that's something we need to add to the mission tracker. But so far, across dozens of DROs, across thousands of missions, these columns and fields that we have worked for us. And last, you could create an alert. So anytime a new mission is created, I can get an email. I can set up text messages. There's a whole bunch of things here. And again, this is anytime something changes, new item is added, send me an email, and then I just go ahead and I hit OK. Do I want to get a daily summary, a weekly summary? Anytime something changes, somebody else changes, and there's a whole bunch of things you can do with alerts. But this is a way to just get a ping so that you're more proactively understanding what's changing in the mission tracker. So that's really helpful. Again, I can check the box here. I can copy the link. You can comment on a mission, a whole bunch of things there. But again, just different ways to work it. It looks very similar to what's in Teams, but some people like working with this a little bit better, a little bit more easily in SharePoint. Again, I click the new here. It looks exactly the same. And that right there is how to create new missions. We'll go back to Teams, how I can create new missions, how I can edit missions, and how I can work effectively in the mission tracker to support the relief operation. I hope this training has been helpful. Please let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you for your time.